The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Weyburn City Council held in Council Chambers, 6 p.m. Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. Dick Mickle has not become youthful over here, and he was absent here today, and our fire chief is sitting in his spot under that. So it's not a transformation there we didn't have. So that's what is going on. So we are moving forward here. First item on the business is approval of the minutes of regular council meeting and strategic planning and priorities meeting held September 26, 2022. Do we have a motion for acceptance?
I'll make that motion, Your Worship.
Second?
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Additions to the agenda?
Your Worship, I'd like to make the motion that the following item be added to the regular council agenda, the Board of Revision, Board of Appeals appointments, and that's 7E.
Second?
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Mr. Warren, any additions?
No additional.
Okay. There's no public hearings and notices. Delegations, proclamations, and petitions. Today we have a proclamation of Fire Prevention Week. And with this, I will read it. The City of Weyburn is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our city. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at most significant risk from fire, and whereas roughly 2/3 of home fire deaths result from fires in which no smoke alarms or no working smoke alarms were present, and whereas smoke alarms sense smoke well before you can, alerting you to the danger in the event of a fire in which you have as little as 2 minutes to escape safely, and whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half, and whereas Weyburn's residents should be sure everyone in the home understands the sound of the smoke and carbon monoxide alarms and knows how to respond, and whereas Weyburn residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire, and whereas the Saskatchewan Fire Code now requires at least one smoke and carbon monoxide alarm on every level of the home, including the basement, as well as a smoke alarm in every bedroom, and whereas Weyburn's residents will make sure their smoke and carbon monoxide alarms meet the needs of all their family members, including those with sensory or physical disabilities, and whereas Weyburn Fire Department is dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education, and whereas Weyburn residents that are responsive to public education measures are better able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes, and whereas the 2022 Fire Prevention Week theme, Fire Won't Wait, Plan Your Escape, effectively reminds Weyburn that it is essential to have a home fire escape plan. Therefore, I, Marcel Roy, Mayor, City of Weyburn, Saskatchewan, for the week of October 9th to the 15th, 2022, do proclaim Fire Prevention Week in the City of Weyburn. Any words, Fire Chief, that you'd like to add to this?
Just as a reminder, Your Worship, that I think every week should be Fire Prevention Week. We shouldn't just practice it 1 week a year. It should be always on our minds that life safety is of utmost importance to all the citizens of Weyburn and surrounding areas.
Thank you. Council? Thank you. I'll just finish signing here and then we'll proceed on. Reports of standing committees, there are none. Number 6, consent agenda. We have the water treatment plant for September and the Public Works report in September. Those are going to be noted as received, and they are on our city website. Motions. Accounts payable. Do I have a motion, please?
Your worship, actually, we
But you have a
usually do
motion for the consent
those.
agenda?
Thank you.
Please.
Your worship, I will make the motion that the items on the consent agenda be accepted as presented, and that would be the water treatment plant report for September and the Public Works report for September.
Your worship, I'll second that motion.
Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Motions now. Accounts payable. Do I have a motion, please?
Your worship, I'd make a motion that purchases in the amount of $1,039,662.07 from September 22nd to October 26, 2022 be passed for payment.
Your worship, I'll second that motion.
Discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Library Board appointments. City Clerk, Richter.
Thanks, Your Worship. I received a request from the Weyburn Public Library Board Chair, just asking for the following 3 people to be appointed to the Library Board. Jasmine Fedek, Carly Istash, and Cheryl Mahoney. So I would just ask that if council wishes to, that you would appoint these 3 individuals for the rest of 2022, and then, of course, you would normally do all of your appointments for 2023 later in the year.
Motion.
Your worship, I would like to make the motion that the following individuals hereby be appointed to the Weyburn Public Library Board for the remainder of 2022: Jasmine Fedek, Carly Istash, and Cheryl Mahoney.
Second.
Your worship, I'll second that motion.
Discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. The Walk of Fame Committee appointment. City Clerk.
Thanks, Your Worship. Again, our Walk of Fame committee it had a vacancy due to Verna O'Neill, a former Walk of Fame member for several years, about 7 years, has moved away, so we had to replace her. So we are asking, on behalf of the committee, I'm asking that council appoint Carla Kennedy for the remainder of 2022, and then again, we can look at her for 2023.
Your worship, I would move that Carla Kennedy be and is hereby appointed to the Weyburn Walk of Fame Committee for the remainder of 2022.
Your worship, I'll second that motion.
Discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. External Audit Services, Director of Finance.
Good evening. The City of Weyburn, our external audit financial services are up for tender, and they go for tender every 5 years. So our current contract is with Grant Thornton, which expired with the end of our December 31st, 2021 year end. On October 30th, 2022, the City of Weyburn external audit services tender was posted on SAS Tenders and the city website. The tenders were to be received no later than September 27th, 2022 at 2 p.m. The proponents were to provide a completed bid tender form with a response to all proposed fees, including a total year-end audit fee, additional report fee, and a fee per hour for engagements as needed, a technical and experience proposal, including the benefits to the city to engage in that firm, the size of the firm's audit staff, and the office location for which the work on the engagement would be performed, a listing of the staff required and planned to carry out the work, a description of any previous experience on related audit services provided, and to provide an audit approach and a timeline for the delivery of services. So the the evaluation process was understanding the service and the ability to provide was 25% rating. The project team and relevant project experience was 25%, and the fees was 50%. So we received 4 tenders, as stated, from Grant Thornton, KP of Weyburn, KPMG of Regina, MMP of Weyburn, and Vertus Group of Regina. So of all the 4 tenders, they all met the requirement of understanding the service, the ability to provide the service, the projected team qualifications, and the relevant project experience. So the main deciding factor would then be the bid had to that had varying fees for the year. So it was either the audit services and the audit report, which would be our mayor report that we have to provide to the province. The major difference in what was provided was the travel and admin costs. And one firm provided financial statement preparation costs in addition to their audit services. So the lowest 5-year average was from Grant Thornton for both the year-end audit services at $41,720 and the mayor report at $804 before taxes. So it is our recommendation for the 2022 to 2026 external audit services tender be awarded to Grant Thornton of Weyburn at a total 5-year cost of $208,600 for the year-end services, and the other reports at a total 5-year cost of $4,020 before tax.
Do you have a motion?
Your Worship, I'd like to make a motion that the City of Weyburn external audit services contract be awarded to Grant Thornton of Weyburn, Saskatchewan for the term of 2022 to 2026 at a 5-year cost of $208,600 and other required reports for a total 5-year cost of $4,020 before taxes.
Your Worship, I'll second that motion.
Questions? Discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. The Board of Revision, Board of Appeal for 2022. City Clerk.
Thanks, Your Worship. So the City of Weyburn appointed Western Municipal Consulting Limited as our Board of Revision and our Board of Appeals back in November of 2021. We just have a few changes to the appointments, just some names of the people that are on the board. We've had a few additions. And both the Secretary to the Board of Revision and the Secretary to the Board of Appeal has changed. So we just need to update our files. So we need Council to approve these members, and then we will go ahead and continue forward with that group to do our appeals and our Board of Revision.
Motion.
Your Worship, I move that City Council appoint board members of Western Municipal Consulting as listed to serve as the City of Weyburn Board of Revision and Development Appeals Board with the fee schedule as accepted on the November 22nd, 2021 regular meeting of City Council.
I'll second that motion, Your Worship.
Discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Introduction of bylaws. Development Officer, please.
Thank you. So the City of Weyburn currently does not have a bylaw or regulations which specifically permit or prohibit the keeping of bees within the city. The city currently has a livestock and poultry bylaw that's from 1963 and a dog and cat bylaw from 2006. They regulate the control and keeping of animals in the city. Neither of these bylaws mentions bees. The city's received several inquiries over the past couple of years regarding whether the city allows for beekeeping within city limits. One of the interested parties has come back to the city requesting that we implement a bylaw to regulate the keeping of bees. Since there is a significant amount of money and time to invest in beekeeping, they want to ensure that it's permitted and would not be shut down if someone complained. So in the province of Saskatchewan, the bee industry is regulated by the Apiaries Act of 2005, which requires that all people having bees must have a valid certificate from the minister. The act sets out requirements for import, transport, quarantine, destruction, inspections, etc. However, it does not contain specific requirements for beekeeping, such as distance from property lines, number of hives, etc. The Cities Act provides cities with the power to pass bylaws relating to wild and domestic animals and activities in relation to them. The province also has the Beekeepers Development Plan regulations from 2017 pertaining to beekeeping. So over the past several years, municipalities have seen a growing interest from members of the public to participate in backyard or urban beekeeping, and some municipalities have chosen to implement bylaws which enable those practices to take place in the municipality. Each municipality that allows them has different requirements or rules for beekeeping. Staff have reached out to some municipalities in Saskatchewan regarding whether they allow for beekeeping, and if so, what rules apply and whether they've had any issues since allowing it. We've also researched other municipalities in Saskatchewan and across Canada to see what best practices are being used. A sample of the municipalities researched and their regulations can be found in the appendix to this report. So upon researching other municipalities, staff have drafted a beekeeping bylaw for consideration by City Council. And the bylaw has similar regulations to those of other municipalities and has regulations to enable beekeeping while mitigating potential impacts on neighboring properties. So some key points of the bylaw would be requiring a beekeeping license that would be renewed annually, allowing for beekeeping on single and semi-detached residential properties, allowing 2 hives on a property less than 1,000 square meters, 3 hives on 1,000 square meters to 2,000 square meters, and 4 hives on more than 2,000 square meters. And they must be located in the rear yard and a minimum of 1 meter from any property line with a fence with a minimum height of 1.8 meters. And the bylaw you can read for all the regulations. So council's options tonight would be to give first reading to the bylaw as presented and direct staff to post the bylaw on the city website for the public to review. Option number 2 would be that council requests amendments to the bylaw before first reading, or option number 3 would be that city council refuses to give first reading to the bylaw. So staff recommendation would be option 1 to give bylaw 2022-3449 first reading tonight. And we also have the proponent that made the original request available for answering any questions that council may have. So.
Your Worship, as a big fan of local honey, I am pleased to move that 2022, bylaw 2022-3449, a bylaw for keeping bees in the city of Weyburn, be read a first time tonight.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Questions, discussion? Janine, did we have a size of how big the hives are? Just refresh my memory on this one.
We don't currently have it proposed in the bylaw. It's my understanding that they come in pretty standard sizes, and then anything bigger than 10 square meters would require a building permit.
And, okay.
Hives are made up of components, usually 2 brood.
Well, if you want to come to the stand here.
Do you want to come to the mic here?
And then just turn that on. So.
A typical hive is a Longstrath hive, which is made up of components, usually composed of 2 brood chambers, and then everything added to that is a super. So that's where they store their honey. The bottom is for raising brood. So it can range in size from the 2 brood chambers, which is what they're wintered in, to the additional as many as 6 or 8 chambers high, depending on the honey flow.
Right, but there's not going to be these enormous sizes.
No, they're that big.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as height going.
Height, up to 7 feet,
Okay.
depending.
So.
Usually not with smaller hives, so.
Okay.
Thanks, Your Worship. I want to thank the Director of Planning and Development for all her work, and you, sir, I think have been a great resource throughout that, so thank you very much. Also, like Councillor Jenke, I'm a huge fan of local honey. Well, all honey, and I want to say that I'm going to support this, but some of the concerns that I've heard from folks, and Janine and I have talked about this at depth, and I think you've been a resource, is the swarms. That seems to be the thing in my research that we have to be the most, I would say, aware of, that could get away on somebody. So can you help me and maybe others understand what that means?
It's interesting that a swarm of bees, probably because of movies, has become the most feared thing in keeping bees. And actually, when a bee hive is swarming, they're the most docile. Very seldom you'll see people getting stung from a hive. What happens is the hive grows to the point where it's too big. And that, most of the time, is the fault of the keeper. They should be adding additional super so that doesn't become a problem. But when it does, what happens is the bee queen, that's the queen of that hive, she will leave with a percentage of the bees. Up to half of the hive will follow her. And they may go 10 miles, they may go across the street. She lands on a branch or a post or whatever, and the rest of the hive just congregates around her. Beekeepers love swarms because it means they can increase their apiary size.
Right.
It's a cheap way. It's a $250 expense just to put bees into your hive. So when you have a swarm of bees and someone's panicking and saying, find somebody that'll take them, most beekeepers will jump at the opportunity because that's $250 in their pocket.
So when Councillor Janke comes home at 5 o'clock after work and there's a swarm on his back door because he's got so much honey, this is not something to be considered. There's not a health risk to him or anything like that. We would be able to just make a call, and somebody like you or another beekeeper, if that's the terminology, would be happy to have those bees for your collection.
Right. If you want to still your nervousness over swarms, just Google it, go onto YouTube and watch them. Keepers go out and actually claim the swarm in their bare hands. They just have a box. They strip them off and drop them into the box and take them home.
Very little risk then.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
And I guess the domestic bees are not as aggressive as wild bees.
There are different breeds of bees. Most small keepers like myself would choose a breed that is known for docility. We don't want aggressive bees. Aggressive bees are more commercial oriented because they do produce more honey. For those who are keeping in the backyard, you know, the bonus is to get what honey they get, but it's the interest of keeping the hive that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So apart from the honey and the excitement of the hobby, are there any other benefits to having bees in your backyard, flowers or whatnot?
Well, anyone that raises a garden will note in the last years how difficult it is to have cucumbers and things and tomatoes that need to be pollinated. It's because of the decrease in pollinators, not only bees but others as well. And there's numerous reasons for that. I'm not going to get into the political aspect of it, but you know, we're killing off our pollinators. So yeah, there's a big benefit for gardeners to have bees around. I know this year I noted that the presence of bees was not, and this is bumblebees and there's various varieties of bees. They weren't really noticed until late in August this year, whereas you usually see them from the middle of June on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Appreciate that. So with that, any further discussion? Seeing none, call the question on the first reading. All in favor? Carried unanimously. So that will come back on.
I think we had discussed bringing it back to the first meeting of November, just to give some time for, we're planning to even put a little bit of information on our website, just to give the public some time to digest this, and if they have any further questions, they can go on our website or on our social media account and send us a question or information if they wish.
Okay, thank you. If you just kick that mic off, Janine, if you would, please. The mic. So, thank you. And now, going on to introduction of the next bylaw is airport operating fees and bylaw. City engineer, please.
Yes, good evening. The airport operation and fees bylaw was updated and adopted in 2019. It set the rates for aircrafts and hangars for 2020 to 2022. The fees now need to be removed, so the engineering department is only recommending an update to Schedule A, which contains the fees. The engineering department has an asset management plan that shows a continued investment in the airport. Since 2020, the main runway has had an asphalt renewal program completed and will see crack sealing completed in 2022. In 2022, the main taxiways and secondary runway are also being repaired and upgraded. With this continued investment and rising costs, a rate increase is required. The proposed rates for 2023, 2024, 2025 are set out in Schedule A. So I'm just actually going to go through that a little bit before I give my recommendation. So we made some adjustments And so for private hangars, we are recommending a charge of $1,200 per year and then a $100 increase for 2024 and 2025. It's currently set at $1,100 per year for a private hangar. For commercial operations, they would be looking at 90 cents per square meter, so they, or per square foot, sorry. They are based on the size of their hangar, and then they would see a 10-cent increase over 2024 and 2025. And then we are looking at, well as in private hangar situations, because they pay just a flat fee, that they would see a charge for any additional aircrafts above one. So they would see a charge of $500, $525, and $550 throughout. So you do get one in your hangar fee. You do get one airplane included in that hangar fee. And then if you are have an airplane that is at the airport on a regular basis, you would be subject to this. Then the other things is we did just update a temporary basis, just kind of some increase in fees there if you were coming to stay for a few months. Same with the crop spraying. If you were to set up a temporary operation there, you would require a deposit and then a weekly fee. We did also look at a deposit, a refundable deposit and a rental fee of $100 per week if you were looking at using the operation of skydiving or a private air show. And that would basically just be kind of to handle the extra maintenance costs we have from that type of situation. Additional to that, we at the City of Weyburn have had a $10,000 security deposit for all new lessees at the airport. And this is basically if we needed to remove the hangar or maintenance, repairs, or demolition of the said hangar, that security deposit be used. We are now looking at proposing that upon a clear building inspection and approval from the engineering department, the leasee would no longer require that $10,000 deposit. They would just require a transfer of ownership fee in the amount of $2,000. If the hangar is in unacceptable condition and they still choose to go ahead with it, they would require that $10,000 deposit, just so that city is not on the hook for a hangar that we may have to tear down, as has been in past history. We have also added in that each new leasee who constructs a new hangar shall pay a one-time building fee of $2,000 payable to the City of Weyburn, and this would be for any new construction of hangars. So that is kind of a rundown of the schedule fee, and so it is recommended that bylaw 2022-3450, a bylaw to amend bylaw 2019-3400, the airport operation and fees bylaw, Schedule A, be given all three readings at this meeting.
Do I have a motion, please?
Your worship, a question first.
Sure. No, we have to do the motion, then the...
Okay, I'm just a question regarding doing all three readings tonight.
Well, we can... Okay, if they want to do that.
Regarding the recommendation to do all three readings tonight, whether we should do first reading and post it?
So this has been through the airport board already and been amended in between that, which would constitute most of the users at the airport, as well as it was sent out to anybody on the board. So.
But could we put it off until the 24th?
You can, yes. You have that choice.
Okay. Do you want to do that?
I would, your worship. Yeah.
Okay.
I would move that bylaw 2022-3450 to amend bylaw 2019-3400, a bylaw to regulate the use of the Weyburn Airport for the purpose of amending fees, be read a first time.
I'll second that, your worship.
All in favor? Oh, just go ahead.
I'll just echo what Engineer Wilkinson said. Sorry. As a board member, I'll just echo what our engineer Wilkinson had said, that the majority of the people on our airport board are users of the airport, and they were all okay with the changes, and they agreed to them. They had a few questions, but I think they were all answered.
Yeah, we said that if they did have any more feedback prior to this meeting, they could provide it, and I've spoken with all the members, and it was approved at the airport board meeting.
Yeah, just for the public to know going forward, and then when we have the readings in a couple of weeks. And
yep.
the other two readings. Yeah.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. What I believe we can do is that, correct me if I'm wrong there, clerk, we can do a second reading, and then when we ask for the third reading, if you vote against that, then it comes back for the third reading. Next meeting.
Yeah, you can do the second reading tonight if you wish, but then you are accepting everything that's in the bylaw.
Okay.
But if you're thinking there's going to be changes to the bylaw, then you'd only want to do first reading, because second reading is where you would introduce amendments.
Okay, so we'll just do the first reading then? Okay, and we'll leave it at that. We'll bring it back for the 24th meeting. Is that enough time?
Yep.
Yep, okay. We'll bring it back for the 24th, in case somebody else wants to bring something forward. Thank you. Moving forward. Unfinished business, none. New business. Southeast Cornerstone School Division Land Acquisition. City Manager. Exciting news.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. So in June 2021, Southeast Cornerstone School Division closed Hague Elementary School, and then in September of 2021, they opened Legacy Park Elementary School. The school division initially put Hague Elementary School property for sale, with the tender closing on July 15, 2021. The school division did not receive any qualifying bids for the property. So what happened is the school division applied for emergent funding from the province of Saskatchewan through the Ministry of Education to have Hague School demolished, and that occurred in the spring of 2022. And then in May of 2022, the school division requested offers for Hague Elementary School. So city administration conducted an internal review of the current and potential future uses for Hague School and the property. The green space on the property is utilized by minor sport groups, and what we've seen could be developed for further include other recreational features to serve that area of the city. So on June 28th of 2022, the city of Weyburn notified the Southeast Cornerstone School Division that the city was interested in obtaining the former Hague Elementary School property located on 113 Cotto Avenue. So on September 26, 2022, the city was informed that the school division had approved the transfer of the property to the city. The city will be responsible for paying all legal fees and land transfer costs. So I just include an aerial view of the school and the open space. And also this fits within the R2 zone. So any recreational use that we want to put in that open space all fits within the permitted uses for that area. So moving forward, the City of Weyburn Leisure Service Department would develop the site as a new multi-use park space to offer the community a wide variety of inclusive and easy accessible outdoor recreational opportunities. As the property is situated within the R2 zone, these plans would be permitted once approved through City Council and would fit within the surrounding area. So the site development plan needs to be determined as further consultation and assessment will be required to ensure that further investments meet the needs and wants of the community. We have ample time to develop a plan for that property. And a big thing for us is budget, as there'll be a large capital investment required to get that site up to where we want to moving forward. So early consideration for the new site include maintenance of the current ball diamonds on the site, a modified cricket pitch, an outdoor sport court, and a winterized skating pad, community garden plots, a pump track or another featured amenity, additional lighting, irrigation, landscaping as we deem necessary on that site, and then parking to serve both the site and the existing Don Mitchell Park. To accommodate and fund the project, we'll need partnership with other community groups. We'll have to access grant funding and seek out other sponsorship opportunities. All remaining construction and annual site maintenance costs will be within the park's budget on our annual basis. To ensure the project remains feasible, investments to the site would be phased in over several years, with access to resources being variable. The exact time frame to complete the project is just up for change as we move forward. However, here is a timeline that we have kind of stayed moving forward. So starting in 2023, which will be year one, we'll do general maintenance and minor upgrades to the site. We'll do a needs assessment and community consultation on the site. That'll include feasibility studies. We'll look into partnership development, and then look at some initial site plans for the park space. So year 2 through 5, we'll finalize designs and planning, and then we'll do a multi-year investment to the property through a phased approach. So I am recommending to council that council approve the transfer of the Hay Elementary School property from the Southeast Cornerstone School Division back to the city of Weyburn.
Do you have a motion, please?
Thanks, Your Worship. I'd make a motion that City Council authorize the land transfer of the property at 1113 Cotto Avenue, Block A and B, Plan AP 525, from Southeast Cornerstone School Division to the City of Weyburn.
Your Worship, I'd like to second that motion.
Discussion?
Thanks, Your Worship. The City Manager, I appreciate your report. I'm happy to have this piece of property in our inventory. Obviously, I talked to you earlier about this, some concerns about our budgets going forward at all levels. So I appreciate that what I see here are all internal workings for the next year or two anyways, just to get plans in place. So I appreciate that sort of feeling, and that there isn't going to be big bills in the near future with us taking this into our inventory. And I'm happy that it's coming into our inventory. So thank you for your work.
This is effective when?
Now, so once you guys make this approval, it's already been approved by the school division, and then we just have to move forward with land transfer.
And there's no environmental issues or anything that we're going to get stuck with on
Not
there?
at all, no.
On there, okay. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Well done, thank you. Choirs and announcements, do we have?
I just want to say, I just wrote it down earlier, I want to thank all the folks who serve on our city committees. We appointed 4 tonight, 4 new folks onto our city boards and committees. I want to thank people that do that, because it's a great service, and I just want to express my appreciation. So thank you to everybody.
I think that a few other thanks should be going out. One, to the fire department. There's been fires locally lately here, and you guys have done an excellent job. Take that back. Council, you've done an excellent job. I also want to, as we wind down into this cold day like today, we see that the city is winding down to the winter time, and we're getting ready for it. Thank you, City Works, for all the great work that you did throughout this summer, between getting sidewalks done, getting the parks ready, getting all this work that you've done and accomplished through there. You've made Weyburn very good. There's been lots of positive comments going out, and you've kept with timelines very good and moving forward. So, and we look forward to the next year's projects as we keep Weyburn moving forward onto this. In your department too, Janine, you've done well in moving things forward and moving so we're not delaying as we're going through. These are tough years. That I think we're going to have a very, very tough year in 2023 by all predictions. But I think Saskatchewan, if you listen to the Premier, as he spoke today at Battleford, Saskatchewan's could be very much immune to a lot of what is going on in the rest of the world. I think we're going to have some very buoyant times, whereas the rest of the world is going to have some very tough times. We're going to be very good that way. So other than that, any other comments along the way? With that being said, there are any notice of motion. Just going to, I kind of alluded to the Premier's comments. If you go onto YouTube and look at the North Battleford Chamber of Commerce meeting that the Premier talked today, I think it's very, very important that for the citizens who want to be informed as to what's going on in the province, he had a very good message as to what is moving forward, and he has set, the SAS Party has set a white paper as to how they're going to be dealing with a lot of things, and that was through the announcement today. I think that was a very, very important announcement that came out today, and that should be listened by the citizens onto there. Because it also shows that we are going to have a very strong economy coming up here. No notice of motions, and with that, I will call an adjournment to the meeting. Thank you.